Aloha uh, from my little cabin at La'akea Permaculture Community, where I'm learning a lot more about gardening. And I'm also getting some much needed time to myself without other things in my immediate space, my sleeping space. And I've quit smoking tobacco, so I've got a lot coming up. And it's July, and tomorrow is 4 years that the twins, Zara and Deja, have been in this world. I haven't found out about them very much before they were born, but I knew about them because I was previously separated and estranged from my children. This isn't a first time thing for me to be estranged. It's been a frequent pain of mine. Motherhood for me seems to have been much about a lot of that. I was reflecting on that today. I've shed tears today. My body is very sore, so when I'm in pain, we go to those places, and part of it is emotional pain. And I've dealt with that since I was 17 years old, being separated from a child. I was contemplating today as I go to make my love and make love for change in my love book that I started to send love to my family, those I'm estranged from that I care about. And I'm almost done. I've got a few pages left in this book, and I'm contemplating because, I said recently in one of these that I had gotten to see Meadow, Amy's daughter, and I was afraid that if I admitted that, I'd be blocked, and I have been. So I know they watch these, and I know they get my emails, because they pop in every now and then with something. But I'm thinking and feeling and truly realizing that, it really wasn't anything I said or did that led to the estrangement, other than having the children. And I've never really gotten a chance with my kids because they, like me, were all about getting their dad's approval and attention and valuing him over the father, over the mother. And, I've been pondering on, my children, all of them, gave preference and much more, leeway, excuses, justifications, still let other people be in their lives that caused a great deal more harm than I did. I had their dads cheated on me. They drink much more heavily than I do. I mean, one of them's in prison. I worked. Yeah, I wasn't emotionally present because I was working a lot and I was hurt and I was sick. But I was there as much as been able to be there. And today I was contemplating on love sets us free. And in a lot of ways, that's what they've done. Because had they not been so nasty, and had they stayed in contact with me and let me be there and all of that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been here the previous 4 times, probably. Had they allowed me to continue to sacrifice myself for them, which I did plenty in the near 40 years I've had children now. I thought that's what motherhood was about, sacrifice. That's the model I had, martyrdom in motherhood. And I've been, since I had kids, trying to do it differently than and I did with each one of them. I did it a little bit differently, but it's all led to the same place, I suppose. Estrangement through death, for one, which right there at the end, before my mom died, we were actually getting really close. But still, Daddy was the one that was really sought out for a relationship. A relationship with me has not been valued as Erica did to take care of her kids some. But so, and they claim they love me, so they set me free. To be here. And all of us need time to ourselves, and I've been thinking, since there's nothing really I can say, and it's not me who messed up these relationships. It's not this last round. So I'm thinking, once I finish this book, and since they're watching my YouTube videos, and I'm not locking down my profile to where they can't find me, they get to see and have the reassurance that I'm not dead, wandering around somewhere or whatever. I do have this fear that if I do die, they'll get a hold to all my stuff and just erase it all. But, you know, impermanence is permanent, I suppose. And probably, you know, if I were dead, they'd pretend they were super close to me and they loved me so much and all this stuff. I do that with dead people or absent people. So maybe if I'm absent more, they'll come to me. They can, and I welcome that. But I gotta stop trying to shift it because it wasn't something I caused, and it's not something I can fix. Because all I can do is just be me, and until they're able to accept me as me and have compassion for me as a woman, but you know, that would take their whole identities, all of their identities, who they claim they are, make them out to be, live in, is determined and based on me being some kind of evil monster. And I can't shift that. It's not true. And I can't defend what's not true. And frankly, unless they do shift that, I'm not real interested in a repeat of me just being the scapegoated bad guy. And I've been thinking, you know, I really didn't set off on this until, or care about having a relationship with my mother so much until I was 44 when I started all this. My oldest one's about to turn 40. The youngest one alive is about to turn 30. And so, you know, there's still time. They think they know everything right now. I've thought that before. And in the meantime, I'm free. Free from the obligations, or I am actually, in a lot of ways, free from the worry, or responsibility. I figure no news is good news, I guess. And I will continue working on me so that if anybody finally gets tired, gets sick like I was, and decides to come looking or reach out, that I've grown and I've learned new skills, and in the meantime I haven't lived miserable and bitter, because I'm not. I look at them and I see how sick I was too. Their bodies are blown up huge. That stress response. I know that life that they're living of material success and having all the chasing the comforts and the approvals and repressing what's really going on and staying with abusive men. I mean, they're seeking the attention of abusive men. The reason I'm not at Erica's or with those twins anymore is because she chose to stay with an abusive man. And I've made those choices, so I guess that's what probably taught them to do so, to continue doing that themselves. And as long as they keep defending the men and giving them excuses, but demonizing the woman, which they're demonizing themselves too, because, like, I'm their mother. And one day their kids will probably have complaints about them too. We all got issues with our parents, I suppose. And each generation is dealing with something a bit different. And until we start doing something differently, which usually there's blowback for. There's definitely been blowback in my case for doing something differently. Nothing changes. And you can't force somebody to do that. Nobody could have forced me. But it also doesn't mean that from year to year, from moment to moment, from minute to minute even, that things don't shift and change. And Spirit can show us new perspectives sometimes. And that'll be what has to shift. Spirit. And did mine. And once it did, there was no going back to being able to unsee what you see. You know, the path I'm on makes me a better person. And I'm not about arguing about the names of whatever it is or that there's only one path, because there's not. There's many roads, many mansions, many names. It doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't bring more love into your life. It doesn't improve situation, not only just for yourself. I'm not interested. And I don't see their Bible beating, going to church all dressed up, making them better people. Of course, I don't get to see much because I'm blocked and nobody really talks to me, but you know, how they treat me is how I judge that. That's about all I got to judge it on. And yes, wisdom requires judgment, discernment, good judgment. So I'm going to go with, yes, they love me. They set me free. And I'm going to love them and set them free too. They're free from pain. I want them to love me out of obligation or have me in their life out of obligation. I want it to be for a real relationship. And I don't know that they, any more than I did when I took off, really know what a reciprocal, healthy relationship looks like. Because my parents didn't have it. And I sure wasn't able to give them an example of that. Because I hadn't had an example of that. And I think most of the world is just beginning to get some tools or understanding of how to work with all of this multi-generational trauma, abuse, the systemic oppression, all of the things that are going on in the world that block us from having healthy relationships and families. And I know I'm learning and growing, so I'm going to hold that they are too. And in the meantime, I set them free. And set myself free too from guilt and blame and shame. And, you know, acknowledging the context and the actual facts and harm, that's not blame. That's just the facts. And there's accountability if we're to make amends, we're to break some of these patterns and do better, do different. But some people, I guess, are profiting from, enjoying the pain they cause. They think they are. In the long run, it doesn't benefit them either. But short term, you get to feel superior and control. You have control. Feel justified somehow. We can justify just about anything. Like cognitive dissonance and bias, and it's really, really hard work to face yourself, to face the pain, to dig into the denominators that are at play and be honest with ourselves. AA talks about that. Being honest with ourselves. I'm going to be honest with myself that and accept I am estranged. I am a mother without children to mother. I am a grandmother without grandchildren to grandmother. Nothing will ever change the fact that I'm their grandmother. I'm their mother. And I love them. I set off to love them no matter what they did. I'm sure testing that. But I wanted to give to them what my parents hadn't given to me. And I did a whole lot better job of that than my parents did. I know that. Because even now, I mean, gosh, I wasn't ever able to stay no contact from my family, from my parents this long. Well, maybe that in itself is progress. They're better at letting go of what hurts. I can't seem to turn off the care. And not sure I want to. I'd rather not be bitter. My mother was bitter. She finally started softening and sweetening at the end there, but she went up bitter. That's diabetes. The sweetness has gone out of life. You know, I am no longer big and blown up with stress. I don't have much stress. Part of that is that estrangement, I guess. So, because boy, do they live some stressful lives. And I don't. So they can come look for me when they're ready for a shift. And they can find me on these YouTube videos, I suppose. And I will cease reaching out very soon for their birthdays. Twins, I love you so much. I am, no matter what, glad, grateful for the 2 years I had. And I feel very good about having given you a secure attachment for as long as I could, which was my goal. So I succeeded in that. And I believe I planted a seed inside of you, gave you a rose to hold on to, a love of water and trees, song and dance, music, multicultural, a with intention, which, yes, I was not very good at before. But even you kids, I raised you to be strong, independent. You're using that to not have anything to do with me. Hey, your choices, I wanted you to be able to make them independently. I didn't think I'd be around this long, so I was trying to prepare you for when I wasn't. And you made that happen before I'm even dead. And it does appear I'm pretty dead to you. And although that hurts, also shows me I succeeded in a way. At least with the intentions I had then. My intention for you now is that you also learn the love of the mother. You embrace the love of the mother. And decide that the relationship with your mother is important. Not just me, the divine mother, earth mother, nature. The things that mother us. And that you find mothering of yourself. That you have the space and ability at some point to be able to focus on yourself, because I know right now, with you having children, you're not. And my son, you're probably the most like me, and the most distant from me, and the one I had the absolute least amount of chance with. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. You're here because of me. I guess perhaps you resent that. I've not liked this life a lot. I'm working to love this life now. Amy loved her life. She used to say that all the time. I love my life. I love my life. I'm saying that a lot now, too. If I say it enough, maybe it'll be true. And I do love most of my life now. I do. There's still pain. But pain is part of life, too. And I'm much healthier. I'm much happier most of the time. life is simple for me, and I like life simple. And that's enough for right now. That's enough. Loving you, kids.